Hi, I'm Mark Tyrrell of Uncommon Knowledge and hypnosisdownloads.com, and welcome to How to Stop Pulling Out Your Eyelashes, 5 tips to help stop you tearing at your lashes and eyebrows. So I could understand Marilyn pulling out her own eyelashes, but even she sounded shocked with me when she went on to tell me, I've taken to obsessively tearing out my 3-year-old daughter's eyelashes and nibbling them. And it's sick, I know, she said, but it's become such a compulsion. Pulling out your own eyelashes is one thing, but when the habit spreads and damages other people, or babies or toddlers, well, we had to help Marilyn stop pulling right away. So she hadn't worn her false eyelashes to the session as she wanted me to see how bad things had got for her. And I noticed her eyebrows were also sparse, and she admitted to sometimes ripping out one hair at a time from above the eye, especially if she'd run short of available eyelashes to pull. Ripping yarns, eyelash pulling, a painful compulsion. Eyelash pulling isn't quite as widespread as hair pulling or trichotillomania, but it still happens a lot. Eyelash and eyebrow hair pullers either consciously pull or absent-mindedly rip away from their ocular cuticles. For Marilyn, eyelash pulling felt shameful to her. There's one more thing, she told me, looking sick at herself. I don't just pull, I eat. It was true. Even when she ripped away at her poor daughter's eyelashes, she would nibble nervously away at them. Okay. The first thing to do, really, was to discover eyelash pulling triggers. And this is something I want you to think about. Okay, so number 1, identify just when you're likely to rip. Think about times when you're more likely to pull. And sure, sometimes you just find yourself doing it, but there's always an activating agent, something that prompts you to pull, even if it's just habitual in response to a certain time of day, for example. So Marilyn clarified that her trigger times were firstly when she was tired at the end of the day, when she was reading her daughter a bedtime story. This was the only time she'd ever occasionally pulled out her daughter's eyelashes. When she felt stressed at work, so another trigger time, and sort of absent-mindedly watching TV at night. And there were other triggers as well, but these were the main ones. And I asked her when she was least likely to eyelash pull. Okay, when's the least likely time you're going to do it? And she told me that when she was relaxed or socializing or with her husband, who worked away a lot. Being clear about when you're least likely to pull gives you important information, because if we can make the other times more like these times, then we may be able to get somewhere. Number 2, disrupt the pattern. All behavior becomes habitual or patterned. For example, someone may have the urge to drink alcohol at 7 p.m. when they're got home from work, merely because that's what they always do. Okay, it just becomes habitual. But if they change the pattern by, say, going for a walk at 7 p.m, they may find the urge to drink disappears or alters in some way. So pattern disruption helped Marilyn. So I asked her to read her daughter a story with her husband in the room, or if he was away, with him on Skype. So she found this change to the pattern to be enough to stop the compulsion in that situation, which is good news for her daughter. At work, she was to walk around the office when she felt unduly stressed, then do some deep breathing exercises. So we started changing the way she responded to these situations. And for the first couple of weeks of non-pulling, she didn't watch TV at all, but read instead. She started reading more. Because there was no habitual association between reading and eyelash pulling, she didn't do it. Okay, so we strengthened her resolve to disrupt the old pattern by hypnotically rehearsing these changes ahead of time to make it much more likely she'd implement them. Number 3, relax, relax, and relax some more. Ever seen a locked up animal in a zoo living in a space too small for it? It's a horrible thing to see. Me neither, because I don't like to see it. But all animals, including us human folk, start to act differently or compulsively when we become stressed. So we see animals doing this. You might see that polar bear or tiger engaging in neurotic, repetitive behaviors you wouldn't normally see in the wild, such as constantly scratching itself against the cage or walking compulsively round and round in a tight circle. So often we humans don't even realize that we're stressed because we become so used to feeling that way. But the more stressed we are, the more likely we are to behave compulsively in whatever way. So I recommended Marilyn listen to a relaxation CD just for 10 minutes before going to work, and 10 minutes on her lunch break, and once in the evening after her daughter was asleep. Now, the effects of deep relaxation bridge across, meaning it takes more to make us stressed for hours after relaxing deeply just for 10 minutes. Okay, we reset our stress level. Just introducing regular relaxation into your life will make for much less compulsive behavior. Number 4, try the direct approach. So I recall an ex-eyelash puller telling me how he'd stopped himself from eyelash pulling, and he'd noticed that he only did it when he was alone in the evenings. So he decided that if it became more difficult to physically pluck at his eyelashes and eyebrows, he'd be much less likely to bother trying to do it. So being the resourceful guy that he was, he brought a jar of Vaseline and coated his eyelashes and eyebrows with it, making the hairs very slippery and difficult to hold. And I couldn't even get a handle on the hairs, he said, as my fingers would just slide off. And after a few weeks of doing that, I would sometimes forget to even put the Vaseline on. But by that time, the habit had changed and I no longer wanted to pull anyway. So that was an extremely resourceful way of interrupting the pattern. So a word of obvious warning there, that if you try that, be very careful to avoid getting the Vaseline in your eyes, health and safety and all that. Number 5, stop eyelash pulling through hypnosis. So when working with anyone for anything, I don't generally use just one approach. Okay, we can use a multi-pronged approach. With Marilyn, for example, we did behavioral therapy, getting her to change what she did. We worked cognitively, focusing on her thinking patterns, and we worked hypnotically to strengthen and glue in place the other approaches, to affect the changes on an instinctive and natural level. So think about times when you're more likely to rip bits of your own or other people's body off, and sorry, maybe pulling out eyelashes sounds better. Now imagine being just about to do that, okay? Then quickly imagine a time when you really don't feel like doing it at all, perhaps because you're in company or feeling relaxed. Okay, then the next thing is to then imagine drifting quickly through time with your eyebrows and eyelashes growing back and having a better, respectful and non-abusive relationship with these parts of your body. So I always feel compelled to help my clients as best I can, as fast as I can. But in Marilyn's case, it felt even more urgent because of the damage she was inflicting upon her daughter with her unstoppable plucking. But it wasn't unstoppable, thankfully. And I'm pleased to say that both she and her daughter now have healthy and naturally growing eyelashes and eyebrows. So I hope you found that useful, and if you did, please hit like and subscribe, and if you want to hear when my next video is published, hit the notification bell below. I'm Mark Tyrrell of Uncommon Knowledge and hypnosisdownloads.com, and if you'd like to try some of my personal development products, head over to hypnosisdownloads.com and take a look around, and thanks for watching.